All right, welcome everybody to the Aerial Robotics Working Group meeting. So this time it's August 30th, so we're going to have a scientific presentation meeting given by me this time. Usually we would like other people to give a presentation here, but that is, of course, it's just out of the holiday, so I can expect that not everybody has a presentation lying around, so that's completely
Hey, but
fine.
guess what, Kim? You're also part of the aerial robotics community, so
Oh
it's
yeah,
a
that's
totally
true.
valid thing.
Yes. I also have something to say sometimes.
Yes, exactly. And we all want to hear it. So thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time today.
Yeah, all right. So yes, let's just continue with that. Of course, I'm like hosting Kimberly McGuire and Ramon Roach from Drone Code Foundation. I'm from Bitcraze. Yeah, so just kind of a short, very agenda. It's not going to be a very long meeting today, but that's fine. Or maybe it's going to be a very long meeting if everybody has so many questions. So I'm going to give a presentation about the education overview in aerial robotics. We already had a discussion about that before, so this is kind of like an, how do you call it, yeah, prequel of that, let's say. Things have happened in the meantime. And also we're going to select a topic for next meeting, which is going to be a discussion meeting, and then of course like just conclude, maybe some announcements there as well. So previously at the Aerial ROS meeting, we had a discussion meeting about, or developer meeting about the topic about education and tutorials. Um, we have a full recording of that, so I'm just going to give it a very brief recap of that. So most like ROS tutorials are actually ground robot based. It was also very difficult for people to get started because there's not really a standard ROS stack for autonomy. There is not really a turtle bot equivalent of a drone. There's no turtle drone. That's one of the things that we also kind of got out of that. The tooling with versioning is very difficult as well. Like, okay, which ROS works with which version of Autopilot or PX4 or so, and also like with the simulators, that is also sometimes very difficult for people that do get started with. And also, you usually would need to be an expert at both ROS and the flight control suites in order to even get something to fly when you're a complete beginner. So to watch back the recording, I would advise you to actually go to the discourse thread for that. I'm going to share all of these slides online, so all of these links will be at one point clickable for you. Not right now, but don't worry about quickly typing these or making a screenshot. This is all going to be available. But yeah, please look back at the recording if you would like. So then what I did in the meantime, I actually was a bit interested in the note of like, the steep slope in aerial robotics. Why is it so difficult? Why are there so little courses? Boy, was I wrong. Actually, I shouted out on LinkedIn and I kind of asking for suggestions because I was kind of like, yeah, let's compile a list of available courses in aerial robotics. Like if anybody has some suggestions, because I found a couple, but there's maybe more. So for online resources and lessons for aerial robotics, which are available free or not free, that's fine. And that post kind of had over 500 likes, over 50 reposts, and 50 plus comments. So yeah, I got a lot of suggestions. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, and of course I took all of those suggestions and I did it like I did. I found them myself, of course. No, of course no. I'm very happy with everybody that contributed to that post. That was awesome. Um, I wrote a blog post about it, and I also kind of added these to the ROS aerial landscape that I'm going to share the links of later. But so this presentation is going to be more about like, kind of the overview of what I found during that search. So yeah, first of all, like this was kind of the only book that was advised for people to read if you're a beginner and just want to get started into aerial robotics, is Small Unmanned Aircraft Crafts Theory and Practice. So that's a book by Randy Beard and Tim McLean from Brigham Young University. And that really is kind of like basics of quadcopter dynamics to path planning cameras. Perhaps it's maybe a few years out. It's maybe not like up to the newest techniques. Like it doesn't explain how to control your drone with ChatGPT, but like for as a complete basics quadcopter 101, this is apparently the book to read. So, and luckily they don't only sell the book, but they also have the full book available online on this GitHub repository. So that's really awesome. So that was the first one that I wanted to start. There's probably some more books out there, but that's the one that I actually got as a recommendation. All right, so there's a couple of online. I'm first going to start with online courses on all aerial robotics, which are meant to be online. So that means that you will have a course, you have online assignments that will get addressed, you get a certificate or sort of sorts. So that is kind of like, that is what I mean with an actual, like one of these online courses. And the first one that I think, I'm not sure, I think I've already found this one before I got the suggestions, but it's Robotics Aerial Robotics by Vijay Kumar from Penn University. So that's kind of a 4-week course, which is paid with a certificate. But if you just want to audit the online lectures, it's for free. And it's really about like mechanics and control, like from 1D to 3D dimensions. And you can find it on Coursera. Yeah, so that's the link right here. There's also the Flying Car Nano degree by Udacity. It's 4 months for a fee. It's really like motion planning, control, and estimation. Actually, there's also a bit of autonomy, and there's lab assignments with a crazy fly. Bias alert! I'm from BitCraze. We make the crazy fly, so maybe my network of LinkedIn is a bit biased towards that, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So yeah, so that is so like the nano the degree you can find on this link, of course, and like I said, it's for free. It's unfortunately you cannot audit these classes for free. Also a good one from Udemy is from Mark Manson's engineering called Applied Control Theory 3, the UAV drone, 3D dynamics and control. That's a long title. But it's kind of part of a applied control system series that Mark made. So the entire course, you can get the entire course for free, not for a fee. I should have said that differently. You can get the entire course for a fee, which is different than if you get the Flying Car Nano degree, because you pay for the months that you have access. For the one on Udemy, that's you just get the entire course, and I think you have unlimited access to that one course for just one price. So the dynamics control modeling of quadcopters in simulation, I think mostly in Python. Yeah, so that is the online courses, strictly online courses that I found. So the second kind of theory is the one that I would like, the university courses that are on aerial robotics or robotics that are applied to a UAV with open resources. So that means is that course is not really meant to be given online. So you don't really have like an online teacher that will grade your assignment or anything. It's more of like, okay, we had this course already on campus and the lab assignment with our in live groups, but we are we have the recordings of those lectures, we have the lecture slides, and we have the assignments available for anybody else outside of the university too, but perhaps not with help, let's say. So the first one is from by University of Maryland, hands-on autonomy aerial robotics, autonomous aerial robotics. So that really goes from like basic control to full autonomy. It seems like a very full stack course, let's say. And they actually use the lab assignments with a Parrot Beeple 2. So yeah, of course, Not sure if these are still widely available. I think they discontinued it, but yeah, perhaps you can do it with like a similar drone with a perhaps like they use it a mocap system in their lab, I believe. The second, the visual navigation for autonomous vehicles, which is like part of the MIT Open Courseware. So it's actually more for like all robotic vehicles, both ground and drones, but they have like a drone simulation in Unity that they made for that course. And I think they also do like a real life lab assignments. They also use the Crazy Flight for that. Yes. The third one is kind of a completely out of like a bit more out of the box, like it's bio-inspired robotics by the University of Washington, and yeah, pretty much it is a course that teaches about yeah, how like certain core elements of robotics or like a full robot in general is kind of like designed to be as inspired by nature. So flapping wing MAVs are for instance like a good wing, or like the RoboBee, or yeah, other bio-inspired robotic platforms. They so they yeah, so they also made all of their slides and assignments available, and also they also do their lab assignments with a Crazy Fly as well. Right. So to continue, there's a lot of these. There's also the introduction to robotics that is given on Brown University, and that's actually interesting because they don't really only do software; they actually do the full building and programming of a drone, all the way to autonomy and ROS. And they actually do this with yeah, a drone called the DokiBot. I don't know if you guys know Doki Town. It's from the same makers. So they also made the DokiBot, the DokiBot, or the Doki drone. Sorry, the Doki drone. But they yeah, you kind of get the idea. So so that's kind of like actually do the building as well. So yeah. And then you also have the Intro to Robotics from Princeton University. So that's also kind of like control estimation, computer vision and planning, also doing the lab assignments with the Gracefly. And you can find like, that's the link with all of their lectures and assignments there as well. So there's quite a lot of the, oh, one moment. Let me just put my camera right back. Yes. So there's actually quite a lot of these courses that universities are giving, and they have made their lectures available online. But I guess like the problem with that is that you won't actually get maybe the support you will get than if you're actually taking that course at that actual university. So that's perhaps something to take in mind. YouTube is, of course, a very good resource. Of course, if you would look up drone programming, you will find a lot of tutorials out there. But I just wanted to kind of highlight these two. Like you have drone programming with Python, which is 3 hours. It has like 4 mini projects, and it's mostly also kind of like based on computer vision with a DJI Tello they use.
Hello?
So, hello? Oh, never mind. Okay, so that was an interesting one because it actually got like 4 more million likes or so by the time, or even more. So there seems a lot of people were interested in this one. Then you also have the Intelligent Quad YouTube channel, which pretty much goes from Ardupilot, MAV Link, all the way to ROS and Gazebo. So that was also a really good suggestion by somebody. That I would say that would be a very good resource as well. Um, yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. So of course, there's more. There's a lot of links, and there were a lot of suggestions. So I'm not going to go through all of them because we don't want this to be too long. But yeah, you have the University of Twente in the Netherlands, a UFV center that is providing some courses. You can Also, just take autonomy courses that can be applied to UAVs, like the self-driving car specialization of Coursera. Or I actually took the Build Mobile Robots ROS 2 with ROS 2 as a beta tester, so I definitely recommend that one as well. Um, autonomous navigation for flying robots is actually deprecated. They don't. It's an online course, but they don't provide any course teachers anymore that can grade your assignments. But they've just presented their lectures. They like you can go into their resources still for free, like those university courses have done. Yeah, drone dojo for those who are looking to build their own drones. Um, yeah, and actually, if people are just like completely hooked on, yeah, just I want to go full on UAV no matter what, then there's actually a couple of bachelor majors at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and the University of North Dakota actually have bachelors that are focused on unmanned vehicles. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so just kind of like I already presented the overview, so now it's like a couple of like highlights. Of course, this is kind of the ROS Aerial working group, so we're should be only interested in what includes ROS. Of course, like we all know as aerial roboticists that both the actual control part of it, like the autopilot firmware suite, is as important as the ROS part. But it would be good to also highlight, okay, which of these courses actually focuses on ROS. So that is the Introduction to Robotics by Brown University, the Hands-on Autonomous Aerial Robotics by University of Maryland, the Intelligent Quad YouTube channel, and the Visual Navigation for Autonomous Vehicles from MIT. Yeah, so not Luca Corlona, from MIT Open Course Hardware, all focus on ROS. Although I've only seen ROS 1, not ROS 2. And the drone used, yeah, so the Doki drone I've seen from, let me just very quickly check which was the, yeah, that was Brown University indeed. They used the Doki drone. DJI Tello from that YouTube series, the Crazy Fly, bias alert. And yeah, the Parrot Bebop 2, I saw at one course. Actually, the Parrot Bebop 2 was also used for the course that my former professor Guido de Kroon used to give at TU Delft. Um, also a good platform, but I'm not sure if they're being made anymore. But let's see. Um, yeah, like what is still missing? Like there's not a lot of focus on ROS 2, it seems, or maybe ROS in general. I think it's still like a consistent hardware platform. Like the turtle drone is still an issue, but yeah, and there's obviously more things missing. But I was actually thinking of like perhaps maybe as a question to you guys, like what is there's of course a lot of resources out there, but is what is still missing? What is, yeah. So that is perhaps something for you to maybe add to the discussion later. Um, yeah, so I think that's maybe good to just then start with that. So there's a working list of all the resources that I've given so far on the ROS Aerial GitHub repository in the aerial robotic landscape. Also, I have here the blog post that I've written for Bitgrace that has given that kind of an overview, which is like with some descriptions. Um, Also, I would like to also very much point out is that the Open Robotics Foundation has also started to do a ROS education working group, which is actually a meeting that is right after this meeting. They're probably already quite far ahead, and I think they still want to kind of like set things up in terms of like how to provide all of these workshops for ROS. But perhaps once that has kind of evened out, that might be something that we can potentially contribute to. But let's ask them. So, anybody has any comments, questions? Go for it.
Yeah, so thank you for your presentation. Those are a lot of resources. And so, so you mentioned actually, so what's missing? So actually, from most of the educational content that's out there, funny enough, there actually aren't many fixed wing style drones out there for education. It's the mostly like focused on quadcopters, but actually in the industry, especially for, I guess you can say, um, longer distance drones, fixed wings are obviously kind of like the way to go. So, for example, if you look at the configuration for the zipline drones that operate in Rwanda, and also the wing drones, and also a lot of the eVTOLs, a lot of them have that kind of combination between fixed wing and quadcopter or tilt rotor. And so I think another a kind of a community that has been kind of creeping into like autonomy is actually the RC flight community, right? And so a lot of them actually are starting to kind of integrate or started to use like regular boards like Raspberry Pis and Jetson Nanos and putting them on fixed wings, and actually even using Arduino and to ground control for their managers. So that's also something that's out there that if you go to YouTube, you'll see that, and none of them actually use ROS. Some of them do, some of them don't, right? So it's just hit or miss. Some of them just use just regular Python without necessarily like a framework for it. But yeah, so that was my comments there.
That's a very good point. I think also that one YouTube series that I gave, like that's the one like that uses the Tello for like vision-based control. That guy only uses Python only. There wasn't even any ROS involved, but also quadcopter again, of course. So yeah, no, yeah, very good point. I didn't actually notice that. Indeed, it's very quadcopter heavy. Brennan, go for it.
Yeah, I just had a question. When you said turtle drone, are you saying that there's no equivalent of like the ROS 2 turtle bots?
Yes. At least
Gotcha.
like of course, like I think the turtlebot has been initially developed like from the Open Robotics Foundation first. So I guess like that gives them like this is the platform that they want to advise, where they have all the examples for and etc. So that already gave an advantage to that platform. But currently there seems to not be really a turtle drone in that sense. There might be options out there that are very suitable, but there's not really a drone that we can recommend like, hey,
Is she frozen or is it just me?
No, she's frozen, I think.
Okay.
Also for me. Kimberly?
Yeah, I think when we lost Kimberly, I'll pin her on the side. Yeah, I don't know if Kim actually answered your question, Braden. No, yeah, she did.
And the thing that for me comes closer to a turtle drone, to be honest, is the example, and the one that I use with the students that I coach and the people that I work with, is the off-board control that you follow through the Pix4 developer guide. And it's still not the same. It's the
Can you
yeah,
can you
sure,
type
sure.
that name in the chat, please?
And it's the closest thing that comes to my mind when I want to give the people an idea of how to go from a drone to an autonomous drone in the sense of being controlled by an off-board computer.
Hello, hello. Let's see. Let me get my bearings back in order. Sorry about that. Fortunately, in a location that kind of showed that didn't have that great of Wi-Fi apparently. So
Yeah, Kimberly, what I was saying before while you were off, is that the thing that comes closer to my mind when I think about the turtle drone, as you called it, is the example given on the Pix4 community in the ROS2 off-board control example, because it's something that allows you to use an actual firmware, an actual simulation environment, and then put yourself in off-board, which is giving commands from a companion computer that you want to do when you want to program an autonomous drone. So that's the closest thing that comes to my mind.
yeah, I guess so indeed. Yeah, I actually would also kind of like at least like okay, yeah. So what I wanted to say before I actually went offline is that of course like I'm super biased towards the Crazy Fly, but yeah, the fact of it is it's very small and it cannot really run ROS on board except if it's micro ROS. So it is not a good candidate to be a turtle drone. Don't tell my colleagues that I said this. But perhaps the Ducky bot seems to be at least like the example in the courses that I have. Seems to be kind of like a nice standard.
But are you talking there about hardware or?
I'm talking about hardware. Yeah.
Ah, right. I didn't get this.
Like
Okay.
the turtle bot.
Okay. Okay. I thought it was the turtle bot in software. Like, you know what I mean, that you can simulate it. And all right, then I think that the closest thing that come to my mind about this is the kits that are shipped by Holybro or stuff like that. But then you still have to assemble by itself. It's not really cheap. And
Yeah.
you need to buy a companion computer. There is one version that has everything together, but I've never tried it. We have been successful with the Holybro X500. It's super easy to use. As a newcomer, a newbie, but that's the only thing that comes to my mind. If you want to go from one end to the other, like really building from the propellers, assembling everything, and then having also the possibility to command with an external application your drone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've heard the same thing from the Holybro kit as well. And I'm not sure if at least the Ducky drone is going to be the same. Because I haven't actually yeah, I haven't followed the course myself, obviously. But yeah, if I wonder like how many lessons they need to build the drone, right? So yeah. Like is that half the course? Or is that just like, yeah, one course? So yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I'm having a bit of a difficulty of my getting my camera back up. So, but I'll just share my slides again. Yes, there you go. Just give me a moment. All right. So let me just add that about the what is a turtle drone? I think that's a good. Yeah, that is maybe a good one. Okay. Yeah, but I guess like one of the topics that I've also have in my list for the next developer meeting is going to be talking about like standard dev kits and hardware. So yeah, if there's most poor people here that are interested to talk about that in the next discussion meeting, then you should select that for the next poll. All right. If I hope that the poll is still there. Can people still hear me?
I cannot see the poll, to be honest, or I'm.
Oh, I'm going to start it later if it's still there. If it didn't disappear because I went out of the meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you will see it in a minute. Is there anything else that yeah, are there any other type of this like what is other things that you had in mind when I was giving this list? Anything else that's missing or any other comments about this? Like even with this, like why is the learning curve still so steep for aerial robotics with all of these resources?
Yeah, I think that Fabricio definitely made a good point. The Hollyboro kits are very good, right? But again, if you look at the DIY or DIY community, do it yourself community, a lot of people end up making, for example, like their own housing, right? For maybe covering the PX4, or if they use another flight controller, and then they add the Raspberry Pi, the Jetson Nano. So partly that's good, because it creates creativity. But yeah, again, there's no standard, right? So if you're like a high school kid, right, that maybe has like a 3D printed, like a 3D printer, or maybe your school has a 3D printer, right? You still have to go out of your way to find, the parts, the models online, maybe from other people who have exact same kits, right? And also the Hollyboro kits, there's just so many of them, right? So I think the Hollyboro could be a way to standardize, in a way like that TurtleBot kind of.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just there's definitely a lot of hurdles to go through. And also, there is obviously, and I think that then there is no kind of like turtlebot GUI, ROS GUI kind of, to, even if it's like a 2D kind of like simulation, low fidelity simulation, kind of like what everyone used to get their introduction to ROS, right? So yeah, there that doesn't exist, and maybe that was also driven by the fact that there wasn't like a standard hardware configuration. So
Sorry, what do you mean there's no simulation?
so you see like that TurtleBot sim, like that everyone kind of uses to kind of like first get started with ROS, right?
Is that different from Gazebo?
I think it is that TurtleBot sim, like that the 2D one. It just comes up that you launch. It's like a 2D TurtleBot sim.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very 8
Let me
bitty,
look
let's
at it.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a turtle drawing a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the very basic one. Even if it doesn't have to be, yeah, it's a very low fidelity. So
Hmm.
that doesn't exist for drones either, right? Because I think even something simple can be made with like Pygame, right, or PyBullet. So and you involve like some 3D um flight dynamics, but very low fidelity. So that doesn't exist either. So.
There's some nice Python libraries for that actually. I think PyRotor is pretty new. Braden, you had a question. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna jump off of what he said. How
Okay.
like, I mean, when me getting into Rust, I didn't have a physical platform to work on until a few weeks ago, and so all I was doing was simulation and working with Gazebo and PX4. I had a really hard time with it. Like that tutorial I made on how to use PX4 and Rust together took me a long time to figure out how to do that. And what I did was relatively simple. I feel like yeah, like the barrier to entry of just like boot this up and try some stuff out. There's just I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah. So there's
Oh,
actually.
you should. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your
Go
thought,
for it.
and then I'll go for it. Go ahead. No.
Oh yeah. Um, you should add that tutorial to the working list, Brady. That'll be
Wait, when you say the working list, what do you mean? I mean, like,
well, like the thing is that like with this with the ROS Aerial meeting, we are actually, or the ROS Aerial community working group, we're actually maintaining. We're trying to kind of build up this aerial robotics landscape, let's say, and all of the resources that I've put in here in this presentation, I've also put in that aerial landscape, which is the GitHub repository that is linked to this working group. So if you have any ideas, or maybe you can add your the tutorial that you made through a pull request to that list, so we can add that for other people to find, so
okay,
they don't
great.
have
I'll
to.
do that.
Yeah, that will be awesome, because then yeah, they don't have to go through the same thing that you have to endure. Yeah, awesome.
Actually,
Yeah, go for it.
yeah. So actually, there are. So you mentioned that MIT OpenCourseware VNav course. So they use a Unity simulation. For what they use, they don't even use Gazebo, right? So
Yeah,
that's kind of
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, there's no standard for that. And even if you want to set up some kind of co-simulation between Gazebo and Unity, because yes, so especially for drones, some of the perception stacks have to be a bit more intricate than ground, right? And so Unity is quite good at that. And also, there's actually another simulation called AirSim, right, by Microsoft,
Mm-hmm.
and so that one is good as well. But also, it doesn't. It's you have to actually look for that simulation, right? And also, even getting set up with ROS is a little bit complicated, right? So, um, and also, yeah, a lot of the controlling drones using AirSim is just yeah, so it's standard Python, and yeah, so getting up and started with AirSim is is a bit more complex, although good once you get over the hurdle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think indeed there at least for Peaks 4 you guys have some integration with AirSim. The only problem is I'm not sure if it's going to improve the situation, because they actually stopped open sourcing it, I think. Yeah.
Not they are switching to Project RSim. That is
Yeah,
something a
exactly. They're
bit different.
archiving the current AirSim and they're switching to a new one. That's correct. But yeah, but
But the
okay. So like,
integration works. Integration, we use it every day with RSim and ROS2 and Pix4, and it's working quite flawlessly, I would say.
okay, great. Hopefully it will stay that way. All right, but that's good to know. But I guess like, okay, that's also a good one. Like simulation standards for aerial robotics and ROS is also a topic that we still have to discuss in the future. There's also quite some comments in the chat. So I was just saying, like, one thing stopped me from getting into aerial robotics was starting to investment cost and distance between simulation and real drone. The third robot, it almost simulates the real behavior for a drone. I observed that was quite a lot different. So if there was a single platform for simulation hardware experimentation, we can reduce the distance between simulation and real drone. That's gonna really help a beginner. That's absolutely correct. Yes. And I guess like also, yeah, if there's too much of a difference between the real sim issue actually, then or the sim to real, there's also a bit of a safety issue. So if you have a big quadcopter, but that's another topic that we can also discuss at one point. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, let's Sufyan, you have your hands up quite a bit, so if you would like to say something.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. So basically, I just wanted to comment on the ROS simulation thing because I'm actually trying to learn ROS 2, So I started with ROS 1 on Autopilot, and I've been using PX4 not long ago. I would say like not even a year ago. Mainly using the GUI stuff. And recently I started playing with simulation and stuff. And I would say that the documentation in the PX4 is quite good. Like if you really follow how to install Gazebo and all that. I mean, there is some problems with Gazebo, but that's Gazebo side, like with the classic, what's Gazebo classic, and what's Ignite, and what now they are switching and all that. But the for me the most odd thing was the technology side, meaning that I come from scripting background, so I like very I like JavaScript, Node.js, Golang, for example. And if you look into the ROS, um, you know, so mainly, if I understand correctly, you have to, if you want to be completely comfortable, you have to use C++ or C. If you look into the documentation, or even if you really have that, I mean, if you're really good at C, you can look into the code directly even and figure out some stuff. But if you come from a different background, it's quite complicated. So right now, for example, I'm just trying to run a simple, just trying to fly a drone, then just take off and land. And it's not that easy using ROS. It really is not that easy. And I'm trying to use it with JavaScript. There is a library that is quite used. There's a community and all that. And ROS is supposed to be an framework or interface that that makes the communication simple, and you don't have to worry about the technology that is behind. But I think that we're not there yet. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
That's you're absolutely right, and that's also exactly why we started up this group because we very much agree. This is a community working group, by the way, so it's not like officially from the Open Robotics Foundation. So just for you to be aware.
Okay.
But we're kind of all here together, kind of like trying to find ways or discuss ways how we can improve the ROS air, like the aerial robotics situation in ROS. Because the learning curve is way too steep. It takes and like I said before, you need to be an expert in all aspects of it, like flight controller and ROS alike. It's difficult, yes, but hopefully we can improve it in the future.
I agree. It's just
Yeah.
like my question, because I'm sorry, I talked a lot, but I didn't ask any
sorry.
question. Actually, like my question would be, is it interesting to maybe narrow down the technology aspect? Meaning, like, okay, we say ROS, but behind ROS there is a lot. Like there is a page called Awesome ROS. Basically, maybe you can add it into the documentation, where you can find everything related to ROS too. It's quite good, but there is a lot of languages out there. And for example, I like Golang, but if I take the library of it's not even used anymore. I mean, it's been like the last commit was like 6 months ago, like a year ago. So for me, if we can say like, okay, you wanna start with ROS, you have to learn C++. It's easier that way because you would avoid a lot of pitfalls and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what you think about it.
Anybody has some comments on that?
Also Python you can use without problems in ROS.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is first time here. So the continue on the Sufyan point. So like having a fixed goals. Like, so suppose if you want to develop a hardware platform, so simulation can provide like perfect localization and these kind of things. And in terms of real hardware, it becomes a very hard topic for like in terms of safety and other things, like how will you ensure that we will have a good localization and these kind of things. So like first bring down the scope of the things, like what should we do, like what should be the hardware and these kind of things, and then we can like what is the communication protocol. So like almost all the projects uses Maveling, so like that kind of thing can be used. So yeah, so yeah, I mixed a lot of things together, but so the point was like we should like define what is the simulation if you want to transfer simulation to the real world, because simulation is perfect and real world quadcopter as like drifts very fast if there is no perfect localization or good localization.
Yes, all good points. It's indeed a lot of points in one. So
Yeah.
but I guess like you very much enveloped like the topic of the yeah, let's say like today's meeting. It's kind of turned into a discussion meeting secretly, and then a presentation meeting. But I guess like yeah. Let me just first note the thing down, like technology abstraction. That was a good one. Like how difficult does it need to be? Yeah, my 2 cents is that yeah, in ROS you can use Python, so you should with Python be able to fly a drone. That's what it's kind of do. Like if you but if it's not at that stage yet, let's make it come to that stage that people that are perhaps are not very adept for C++, they can still get something to take off at least, right?
Yeah,
maybe not a
absolutely.
very big drone, but something that's maybe where all the safety things are already concerned. Yeah. Sorry, did anybody want to say anything else? I think we do have to wrap up at one point. I still have a couple of announcements to make. Maybe one last comment. No?
Thank you for putting this presentation together today, Kim.
Yeah. You're welcome. No, it was my pleasure. I'm just going to start up. Let's say I've written a couple of things down. Of course, we also have the recording. And like I said, I'm going to present all of these. I'm going to have a copy of these slides on the Discourse thread, so everybody can still have access to these links. An announcement. We now have a channel on the Open Robotics Discourse server. Yay! Don't clap too loud. No, well, actually, we're the first working group that has a specific channel there, and I think thank you. I feel so glad now. So the idea is just to kind of like use it for maybe short questions, some sharing of projects, or like short chats or announcements. Like for instance, what I did today, it's like, hey, the meeting is going to start in 50 minutes, or next topic is going to be this. And of course, anybody that wants to share anything in terms of aerial robotics and ROS can share it on that channel, or just say hi. That's fine. There's not that much activity, so we're fine with pretty much everything. But however, if there's any long discussion or something more in-depth topic that you would like to discuss, we would kind of prefer people to still use the ROS discourse for that, and to start a just to kind of start a thread on the aerial vehicle category. That is my advice. However, if for instance you have a long discussion, but you just want to have people to actually comment on those, you can use the Discord channel. Yes, it's very complicated. Okay, so anyway, if you if you turn on the notification of the SWG dash Aerial, then you will also kind of get notifications of like the meetings and everything. That is a bit more in your face than just checking Discourse every once in a while. It's up to you. Okay, so I'm going to now turn on the poll. If the poll's still there. Yes, it's still there. Oh. Yes, okay. So you can find the poll now. Either you got a notification or you can go to the triangle square rounds in Google Meet. And then you will see a poll, and then you can select a topic for the next discussion meeting in 2 weeks. So there's already a couple of things that we have done already, and we have recordings of all of those. But yeah, so then we can kind of discuss, select what we're going to discuss about next time. So I currently see 3 votes, but there's more people in this meeting. If anybody cannot find this poll, just let me know.
Where's the poll? How do you?
It's yeah, you can find it in Google Meets. There's like this this symbol that is like a triangle, square and rounds. I think it's over there. If you it's on the right bottom.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. All
Got
right.
it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Viganesh, you have. Is it possible to discuss things like, yeah, like anything in 3D planning? That's fine. But of course, like if we select a topic for next time, and every time we have discussed a topic, I will remove it from the poll, so we'll always have a chance to always discuss one topic. But yeah, that is one part. Or you can maybe suggest a presentation meeting, and then you can talk all you want about your interpretation and planning in 3D. So yeah. All right. I think everybody voted. Maybe I'll just because we don't have that much time left, so I'll just close the poll for now. End the poll. And it's aerial robotic simulation. Woohoo! So happy. All right. So that means is that then the next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, the 13th of September at 2 p.m. UTC Universal time. So same time as now. So also here a link of the GitHub repository organization for this working group. Like the aerial robotics landscape is there. Community, add yourself as a member. There's also a list of meetings there. And if you want to do a presentation, please let me know, or Ramon. That would be great. And that presentation is not going to be in 2 weeks. That's going to be in 4 weeks then. But like, we can always see like what kind of slots are available. So with that, I would like to thank you all for coming, to have this nice discussion and to listen to this overview. And yeah, I am hoping to see you guys next time.
Thank you. Just quick question.
Bye bye, guys.